Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to another episode of Cutthroat Research. I'm here with my good friend Tyler,
Hello.
and we apologize for being a few days late on our episode. Our store championships ran really late, and we planned to record before, and then something came up, and then we were planned to record after, and it was like, what time did you get out of there? Like 10:30, 11 o'clock?
No, I
probably?
left at almost midnight.
Oh my god. Okay. So, that's our excuse. Apologize if it's not good enough for you, but you'll figure it out. We got a good amount of things to talk about this week, and I think it's kind of a good thing that the episode got delayed because it kind of added another topic of discussion that we're going to save for the end of the podcast. But let's start off with the Set 3 hype, or as we've been calling it, Set 3 leaks.
So Target through... I'm sure anyone who follows along with Keyforge at this point knows that Target, through some sort of human or clerical error, ended up not quite knowing what the release date was for Worlds Collide starter decks. So Targets across the nation, if you go in and you happen to have the receipt code, the numbers that they use to identify the product in their system, they will go in the back and grab it for you if it's not already on the shelves.
Which, in many places around the country, it was absolutely on the shelves. I know you got a handful of them, and a lot of the group chats online, the Facebook groups and the like, plenty of people were posting them, and I think we have almost every card officially leaked now, right?
I think they said that they're only missing like a dozen or 20
very
tops.
few cards short. So that's, I mean, I'm very happy that the cards are leaked because I'm pumped to play with so many of them now. I feel the mixed excitement and disappointment of getting these early because I do like the idea of being patient and waiting for the release date, and we can't even use these in tournament yet anyway, so it feels kind of like, yeah, you get to prepare for the set that's out, but you still can't use it. So
I honestly probably wouldn't have even searched for any if it hadn't been for the fact that we make content.
yeah, and that's how I felt. Like, as soon as you said you got some at Target, I was like, all right, you got YouTube covered for like 2 weeks, so we're good. I'm not even gonna go bother trying to deal with any of that.
I do think that it is a missed opportunity for like store owners and local game stores, but I will say also that I went over budget because the money that I planned and budgeted to spend at my local game store, I am still spending on Set 3 when it drops on my local game store. I have them pre-ordered, it's already paid for.
Yep.
So this I just kind of looked at as advertising money for YouTube.
It's a bit of an investment for Cutthroat Research as a like organization, if that's what you want to call it. So it was kind of us, your way of investing into our podcast in general, because you didn't need any more decks than you were already going to get. And I'm about to pre-order another box now that there's no Targets left that have them. I think most places that did end up getting them to the shelves. What happened? Was there a cease and desist that actually got put out by FFG, or was it not as tense as that? But
I think certain distributors, if Target got them from distributors rather than Fantasy Flight themselves, like Asmodee, or some of them get it from Diamond,
sure,
or there's another name that it's like the one that Walmart gets them from, but I can't remember the name.
Right,
of
just
it.
big vendor names.
But
sure.
yeah, big vendors. I think certain ones of them said, "Hey, if you have this in stock, do not put it out," and then they gave them the date. Because I know that local distributors were given a soft release date, which is November 8th.
Okay. So that's like the window that they were planning for. So yeah, take the good with the bad. I'm very hyped that I get to see all these new cards so much sooner than the actual release date.
The good news is I think that the leaks did more good than bad.
Yeah.
While it may have cost local stores some money, this set definitely has a lot more hype around it than Set 2.
I agree with that, and I think that because, I mean, I'm sure Fantasy Flight would have started leaking cards in the near future anyway. Now they're not going to because there's no reason to, but probably 2 weeks from now you'd start seeing little cards start trickling out through the Facebook groups and cards starting to leak from maybe overseas or other distributors. And like Fantasy Flight doesn't have to do that anymore, which is unfortunate, and I like that time. Like, I like that window of time. I like experiencing a couple cards every day and getting to scroll through all my social media being like, oh that, look at that, like, you know.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, like, I agree. It's a good thing that these cards came out because I'm ready to buy more boxes of Set 3. Like, after reading half of those cards, I looked at the deck you got a number of the Worlds Collide 3 starter decks, and I know You let me and my friends split one. We split one and each got a deck out of it. So we're gonna get some of the counters, and you did that for a few people. So I have a set 3 deck, and I like looked through it, and I was like, okay, nothing in this looks bad. Like nothing. I haven't seen a card in set 3 that inherently looks like it's underwhelming, and like it's just I'm ready to dive deep. Like I just keep wanting to get more packs now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can't find them because it's not supposed to be out for a month.
Yeah, they're not gonna be out for a minute. But yeah, I did let a lot of local people get like a deck each at cost.
Yeah.
Just so that we all kind of had, no one felt left out.
Yeah, and
at least the regulars.
I think it's great because I mean I'm sure not everybody did, but for those of us, like I got both the new houses in the deck that I got, and both of the new houses are 2 of the 3 new mechanics, and I really just want to 100% like I want those new mechanics to become muscle memory before next month.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what's souring some people about it, is that some people get like an amount of
play
time
testing experience
before it actually drops, which I can understand, but I know for a fact that there are certain people who even during set 1 pre-release, when they like got previewed at Gen Con, when the full set 1 list got spoiled, people made proxy decks
and started
and
preparing.
Yeah, like
now that we know most of the card list, there's no reason we can't just use our own random generator and print off decks of X cards and then start learning that way.
Yeah.
So it can be done. Like, if people are going to do it.
People are going to find a way to get their hands on some version of it early to practice. The people who really are in that...
The most competitive players.
In that
absolutely.
kind of community.
And I'm excited for that. We do have a... Man, what is it? A championship tournament? Or
the Prime Championship?
The Prime Championship next month?
We have it in about... a month from today,
5 weeks,
roughly?
Yeah. 5 weeks or so.
On the 16th of next month, and it's about 2.5 hours away from us, so we will be...
Absolutely.
I think most of us are going to go.
Yeah, I think we convinced most, if not all of the regulars, the regular weekly consecutive Keyforge players from our area. I think all of us are driving down there together, carpooling one way or another, which is cool. So if you guys are...
At
you
the
guys are going
Prime
to be going
Championship at Prodigy Games in Lakesworth, Florida.
Yep, Lakesworth is like the northern tip of Miami. It's one of those tiny towns that doesn't really have a name because everyone just calls it Miami.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prodigy Games next month. So anybody who's going to be there, come hunt us down, give us a shout out. We're in the works of trying to get some accessories to bring with us. I don't know if we're going to be able to print enough or do anything to do like giveaways, but we want to have like playmats or t-shirts or something like that so people can find us when we get there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be kind of interesting too. So, and obviously advertisement while we're there.
Speaking of championship type events,
oh boy,
we did have our store championship on Saturday.
Yeah, last weekend.
We had more people show up. I mean, not that we were hoping for. It's probably about what we were hoping for, but more than we expected.
Yeah, it definitely was more than what I expected.
So we ended up, I think, between 25 and 30 people, somewhere like that.
Yeah, I think there were 13 tables or 14 tables, and someone had to buy every round because it was an odd number. So, like, right in the middle. And I was expecting, at best, we need 16 to get the Amber bonus, and then we need, I'd like to see, 20.
And it's one of those things, start time was 5 minutes till start, and we had 16.
And then
we saw 2 or 3 people trickle in. I was like, all right, we might hit 20.
Yeah.
And then we're just 14 tables, 5 rounds, top 8. Okay.
Seems good. Yeah, for sure. And it was exciting. It was definitely the most draining tournament we've had, in my opinion, at least locally.
It felt like the Vault Tour I went to, honestly.
Yeah.
Just a scaled down version.
Gotcha. Mini Vault Tour.
Definitely way less people, I should say.
Right. Way less people, but all the same tension and anxiety and all that build up and everything. I gotcha.
You get those competitive play nerves.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, store championship, it was a pretty good experience. I had fun. Congrats to all of the participants really, but top 8 was spectacular. I think everybody in our top 8 was a local player. Nobody from out of town or anything that showed up got to top 8, which shouldn't discourage anyone, but at the same time, that's me rooting for my home team kinda. So I'm proud of that, and shout out to all you guys. You got top 4.
I did get top 4.
You did very well.
I snuck in.
You got yourself a playmat, Bingo Bang Bang playmat. That's, man, I'm not even a Brobnar fan, and that is the coolest playmat to date, in my opinion. Bingo Bang Bang and like the Dis one that I really like, but God, that card's so cool.
Yeah. I think top 8 all did really good. The person who ended up winning the tournament is someone who actually got into it within the last month. He's fairly new, and he went 8-0, just undefeated.
Yep, straight through, swept everybody. The last round, the top 2 round was best 2 out of 3. And the winner of the tournament 2-0'd that person and took home the first place mat. And like Tyler said, he's been playing a month, maybe a little over a month. I know he's done both. He's purchased some decks online, but he also bought some decks in the store. I don't know all the details of the deck that he played, but should we spoil it for him?
What's that?
Next episode. It's next episode or one future episode.
Oh yeah, we were going to do have him on the podcast to talk about what he thinks helped him win the event.
Yeah, so next episode, ideally, but definitely a future episode. In one way or another, we're gonna have him on and just chat with him and see his opinion of Keyforge, especially considering he's a new player. He's not new to card games by any means, but he is a new player to Keyforge. So see how like his other card game experience from Magic and other things that may exist that I don't know about. How he's applied those tools to this game and what he's learned so far in the short time that he's been playing. So huge shout out to him. I think in top 8 there were a number of decently high rated decks. Did you remember seeing any decks that were like low that made it into top 8?
I think my deck was the lowest one in top 8.
What was your deck's ratings?
80.
Just a flat 80?
Just a flat 80.
Okay, so the lowest deck was an 80. The highest deck I know of was a 98 because I played against it. I think you played against it too in top. Do you want to go over any of your rounds or any of your...
Yeah, I could go over my experience briefly. I meant to keep a better track of the names of the decks I played against, but in the next episode I think I'll have those. I'll ask around. But my first round, I played a local player who comes more sporadically, but he's been playing for not quite since launch, but definitely since set 1. Mm-hmm. And he was playing an Untamed Logos Shadows deck, I believe.
Okay.
I know it was definitely Untamed and Shadows. I was playing Beast Pact, the deck that I featured on our YouTube.
The deck with your 15 chains?
Yeah, quite a bit. The deck with 15 chains.
You like playing it with 0 chains all weekend?
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. Perfect.
The big thing is he had some experience playing against it, and I got to a point where I just needed to reap out with Untamed with Witch of the Eye to get back Key Charge to win. And he Nocturnal Maneuvers 1 turn to exhaust my Untamed board, and then passed, and I couldn't really... I had to play some other cards, didn't even get to check past, and he did it again. And I passed, and then he got to check, and I couldn't...
Pull him off.
Yeah, I just couldn't get him off that 3rd key, so I was 1 turn away, and it was fine. He played the way he had to, the way he knew he should have, and got that. So I had a round 1 loss, and then round 2 I got the bye.
Exciting.
Pretty good stuff.
Tyler had a great start to his tournament.
And then round 3 I played a newer player, and I got the win. But I got the win, honestly, on a high roll. I started with Speed Sigil and 6 Untamed cards, one of them being Witch, and the other one being a Key Charge, the other 4 being creatures. And I just literally slammed all of those on my 2nd turn and reaped to key every turn. Nice. For 3 turns.
That'll happen.
And then the following round, I got paired up against one of the undefeated players, and I lost by... I couldn't get him off check, but I had made a key first, dropped the sting, got to my 2nd key, and he got to 2 keys around the same time, and he just got to 7. I can only pull him down to 6, and I had 38 amber.
Oh my god.
And I just couldn't get him to 5 to win the game.
Wow.
So, like, I had an extreme
There you
amount
have
of
it,
amber.
folks. 35 amber still might not win you the game.
Something.
So
It was
be very
something
careful.
absurd. It might not have actually been in the 30s.
Yeah, but
it was,
still, like,
it was definitely over
20.
Yeah, it was like 15 to 20.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Still, that's crazy.
So he got that one. So I was X2, and then going into the 5th round, I got paired up again against our buddy Floyd, who ended up coming second in the tournament.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. And he got kind of discouraged because he thought he might have gotten knocked out by me beating him, but we both ended up getting into top 8.
Mm-hmm.
And first round of top 8, I got a rematch against my first opponent and won. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I gotta play a completely new person, who's also a local, and I did win that match though.
Yep.
It was a close match. He was playing a very amber control heavy deck with Brobnar, Shadows, Untamed, I believe.
Gotcha.
And we had a close game, but I won because of the Stinging Key Charge.
Exciting.
Because that's what that deck does.
The reason you play that deck, yeah.
And then in my top 4 game, I played our buddy Floyd in our rematch, and he got it this time with the deck Spy Smith, which I think is the highest rated deck at that tournament.
I think so too, yeah. That deck was a 98. I played against that deck a few times throughout the last week before the tournament in testing, because I knew it was going to be at the tournament one way or another. So I got some experience against it. It's rough, man. Like that deck just I have so much trouble against. Like I beat it one time, and I think I played against it like 5 times now.
Yeah, it's really good at keeping you off a key.
Mm-hmm. Like if you don't generate amber, the shadows in it feels kind of bad because it just has a bunch of steal. Like it doesn't do anything, but it steals. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have amber and they have to call shadows to get through their hand, that's the most lackluster thing that deck has. That's the only thing that feels bad in that deck. It's like, oh, I have to play 4 shadows cards, and they all steal, but I don't actually get to steal. And the next turn, you're like, oh, okay, now I'm fine.
And that's how I played around it, though.
You just purposely didn't get amber until you knew you could get so much it wouldn't matter.
I almost wouldn't make amber unless I could go so far above 6, or I had a key charge.
That him stealing wasn't gonna change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's one way to play around it, and that's how you beat him the first time you played him.
Well, the first time I kept a hand that I wouldn't keep against any other deck, because the big threats to my deck in that deck are it has triple Mind Warper, and it has double Ember Imp. It has a lot of 2 health creatures, but Beast Pack has a Twin Bolt Emission. It has 3 Relentless Whispers. So I opened with Twin Bolt Emission and 3 Relentless Whispers, and I was like, yeah,
this has to stick around
because I want
yeah, if you don't answer those Ember Imps and stuff.
There was a lot of turns where I would just Relentless Whispers and pass instead of dumping my whole hand. And then he'd build a board again, and I'd be like, Relentless Whispers, pass.
And then once you knew all of his threatening creatures were in the grave, you just start building up and then take over. Crazy. Well, congratulations on your top 4. That's awesome.
It was a good time. I'm excited now. I feel like I could finally shelf Beast Pack for a while and start on new ventures.
You got what you really wanted out of it. Very cool. Nice.
But what about you? How was your tournament experience?
Experience was I was entertained. I had fun with the tournament. Statistically, I did not do well. I played round 1, and I played against a deck. I'll list them off. I did write them down. This one's called Kantsia. It's Kantxia. Kantsia, the War Master of the Void. It's Brobnar logo Shadows. And when I looked at it initially, when I was sitting across from my opponent, the only things that stuck out to me was two Nightforge and Drummernot Ganger Chieftain. And those are the few things that I saw that stuck in my head throughout the game. Binate Rupture and Interdimensional Graft as well. That's obvious. I kind of skipped that because my brain's so used to seeing it that it doesn't even it finds that. But overall, I did my regular thing against this deck. I had let's see. I had 2 keys, and I ended up doing my Pit Lord Snudge combos. I had a Snudge on the field. I played Pit Lord for 2, reaped the Snudge, bounced the Pit Lord, played the Pit Lord again, passed. I went to 7 Amber. He miasma'd me. And then I just bounced the Pit Lord and did the Pit Lord thing again, and then I had like 9 Amber and I won. Like he couldn't stop the key twice, and all he had to stop it the first time was miasma, and that was the end of that, unfortunately.
And you were playing Warlord Granbury, right?
Warmaster
Granbury.
Yeah, that's the name of my deck with the Pit Lord. I did go through my deck all the way through, and the only disappointing thing that happened was I opened the Pit Lord and kept it because I had a Snudge, and I almost got wrecked because there was a point in time where I had the Snudge and the Pit Lord and something else on the field and no discards in hand. And my opponent, he's a Magic player. He's a very great guy. He's very, very good at Magic. But I feel like I won that game because he chose to... he tremored my Pit Lord and then stunned my neighboring creatures, and then he 1-2 punched the Pit Lord so that I could start calling other houses.
Instead of 1-2 punching the Snudge.
Yeah, instead of 1-2 punching the Snudge, or even the other creature. I don't even remember what it was. But he hit the Pit Lord because obviously it's the biggest power, it's full health, he knows the combo, so he thought he was removing the threat. And in doing so, that just let me call Sanctum next turn. I played Mighty Lance, Mighty Javelin, killed off the creatures he played, and just went and steam powered from there pretty much. So I feel like that win was a little bit of luck, but it also... I haven't played this deck long enough to perfect using Pit Lord, but I feel like that gave me another thing to think about. And I've had that happen with Pit Lord a few times where I haven't been able to play any cards in hand, and Dis has kind of screwed me, and I know that the good players are aware of how to stop that, so I need to take my opponent into consideration and when I decide whether or not I'm going to play that card, because the 2 Amber is great, and I don't like to think that I'm greedy, but the number of times I've had Pit Lord versus the number of times I played it, I'm pretty greedy. Like, in my head, I know I've done that like 9 out of 10 times, and I probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's hard not to be, though.
It's really hard not to be, dude. Especially with Snudge. Like, when Snudge is there, dude.
I can't tell you how many times where I've not needed to play Sting, or it might not be the most beneficial play. Like, it might be the only Shadows card I can use. Yeah. But they're, like, gonna forge a key, and I can't get them off the key, and it's like, man, I want that 6 Amber.
Yeah.
Like, I can't not take that tempo shift.
This is gonna happen. There was another time later in the tournament against another opponent where I did have the Snudge and Pit Lord combo, and I intentionally reaped with Snudge and bounced the Pit Lord and didn't play the Pit Lord so that I could change my house next turn. And that worked out amazingly. So
did you discard the Pit Lord, or did you hold on to it?
I held on to it only because I have 2 Snudges in my deck, and I hadn't seen the other one yet, and I was about halfway through.
Okay.
So even if my Snudge died, I knew another one was like within 10 cards. So I kept it for that purpose, but if I didn't have the other Snudge in my deck and it was already in the discard pile, I probably would have discarded it.
Gotcha.
So round 2, I won round 1. Going into round 2, I played against the guy who got second with Spysmith, our friend Floyd. I played this time, like I said, I played this deck like 5 times last week, and I did not enjoy any of it, and I did not want to put in the work to try and beat it because I already know what it does. So I gave Floyd the win. Him and I think, were the only 2 people out of our like close friend group that hadn't like won a playmat yet. So I told Floyd, he's got the better deck, he needs to take the win, I want him to get a playmat. And that was, some people might not agree with that, or some people might have like negative things to say about that, but frankly, me and Floyd have known each other for almost a decade, and throughout Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, any card game we've ever played, we're gonna do that. Like, he's my best friend at the card shop. I've known him so long, and there's plenty of days where he knows that I have the better chance and he gives me the win, and I do the same for him. So I wanted him to win that playmat, and he did. So I don't take that as a loss by any means. I'm straight with that.
Also, because one of like the Keyforge players was asking me, is like, oh, did like he just give him the win? I was like, well, they tested a bunch before this, and Ryan had never how many games against that deck did you win? None.
I won 1 game against it. And I only won that game because I had so much Amber that my opponent had to play, what is it? It's the Mars card that you lose all your Amber, your opponent loses triple. Shatterstorm. I had 8 Amber, and my opponent had to Shatterstorm to stop me from getting a key, and I just happened to have enough Amber in my hand to get another key immediately.
Gotcha.
And that's the only time I've ever beaten that deck.
And I know even before the tournament, you were like, man, I don't want to play against this deck.
Yeah.
So
I was venting about that
part
pretty
of it
much
too,
all morning.
Part of it, too, is like, there's going to be a top 8, so you don't necessarily have to go undefeated. And I was explaining to people that I thought you just didn't want to put yourself on tilt.
Yeah, if I lost to that deck, I feel like I wouldn't have had as good of a time the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like, if I genuinely played him, and even if I knew I was going to lose, I went in there thinking I was going to lose. Once I lost and it was sealed in, I knew that the rest of the day was just going to be annoying to me. There's going to be that thing in the back of my head that was like, well, maybe I'll top. I don't care. Like, it would have killed my motivation.
Avoid the tilt. And tilt, for those of you who don't know, is like a poker term. It means that something's putting you off balance.
Right, or something's putting the mindset that you should have. It's kind of distracting you or putting you.
Think of it as like a professional salt.
Yes.
You're not quite salty. You're not quite like mad or toxic, but you're tilted. You're off kilter now.
Right.
And that's honestly a lot of people. That's what leads into misplays is they make a misplay or they don't capitalize on something and it tilts them. And then they aren't thinking clear.
Right, and that tilt can literally cause misplays for the rest of the day if it's a strong enough one.
Yeah.
If you realize you messed something up early on in your tournament, by the end of the day, you can be like, man, I made like 7 mistakes today. What the hell happened? You know what I mean? So for multiple reasons, I gave Floyd the win, and I was fine with it. He got second, and that's cool. I don't ever want to play that deck. It's so rough. So round 3, taking the round 2 loss, going into round 3, I played against another local player. The name of the deck, his deck was Fun Crawler, the Musician of the Crucible, which is just, it's a phenomenal name for Keyforge.
Was this David's deck?
This was David's deck.
Yeah, and he ended up top 8ing, so he was 5th through 8th?
Yes, he was in the back half of top 8.
He lost to Floyd in top 8?
Yes, I believe so.
Mm-hmm. So he would have actually ended up being 5th. Because Floyd was 2nd.
Yeah.
The way the breakers work out.
Yep.
This was also the only deck without shadows
in our
top 8.
Yeah, this is the only. It was Dis Logos Untamed. It was a 78 SAS, 64 AERC, and I won't go into the details of the deck. It's got Time Traveler, Library Access, and a bunch of decent cards and a key charge. What happened to me was me and David shuffled each other's decks. I opened up my hand. I was like, this is okay. I don't even remember what my hand was because the game happened so fast. I was like, I'll keep whatever. I went first, and I think I played some like low drop creature. I don't even remember what it was, honestly. And his first turn, he plays 5 untamed creatures. And he plays a Lupo the Scarred, a Snufflegator, I think 3 Niffleapes, just out the gate. And I was like, okay, I don't have board wipes, but I do have some removal. I have to get rid of the Lupo. I'll try and figure this out. It went back to my turn, and my hand was two of each house.
Mm-hmm.
So I played 2 cards. What it was irrelevant. I passed to him, and his immediate next turn after playing 5 untamed creatures, he goes Library Access, Time Traveler, Mother, Scrambler Storm, and I think Quixo or Dexter, one of the 2. And then drew to 8. And that's when I gave up on that game.
So he was like 18 cards in on turn 3.
Yeah, like he was at least 10 cards deeper than I was into his deck, and I went first, which means he should be a little bit further than me, but he was like 2 full hands of the exact same house into an 8-card hand. And I had 3 cards on the field.
Yeah.
I wasn't winning that game. So I played it out. I let it happen. He won. He apologized to me, which I found kind of amusing. But me and David, I've known him a long time, and I feel like we both kind of have this good mutual respect for each other. And he straight up told me, he's like, I shouldn't have won that game the way I did. Like me and him, as well as Spysmith, me and David did test 3 or 4 games last week, and I think I beat him every time.
Yeah.
On the way to preparing for the tournament.
He just did that in general. He like told me after the tournament, he's like, man, I brought a deck because of its ability to do things like that, but like I didn't think it would happen as many games
over
as
and over
it did.
And over. Yeah.
He's like, and it kind of felt bad because I felt like I luck sacked my opponents. I was like, no, dude, if you brought your deck because it did that, and it did that, like that's that's
just
part of the game.
Yeah, that's the universe working in your favor and rewarding you for whatever good deed you did the other day,
or
like,
even
whatever happened.
I mean, if you're bringing a deck specifically because like this deck is decent, but you
has
know,
the potential.
1 out of 3 games it does this explosive thing. You can't get mad if you high roll that explosive thing a couple times.
If 1 out of 3 turns into 3 out of 4, you just take that, man.
Yeah.
Like, you just say, yeah, I got there. Like, whatever. Good work to David.
Yeah.
So I played him. So I won round 1. Went in there strong. Lost round 2. It was okay to Floyd. Got destroyed round 3, and this is where my heart started sinking a little bit. I was a little demoralized, but I tried not to let it get to me. Tried not to get too tilted. I was like, if I win these 2, maybe I can top. So a lot of people can go 3-2 and top. It wasn't a big tournament. I mean, almost 30 people is kind of big, but
4 X2s ended up
made in top
8.
which was fine. So I played it out, kept going
because of the pair ups and pair downs and how
it made everything a little wonky.
Yeah.
So round 4, the deck I played against was called Cecil, Commissioner of the Sandy Moon. I think this is one of your friends, Tyler. I think I played against Lewis.
Yeah.
Round
so
4.
he learned how to play the game the day before. I used to play both Yu-Gi-Oh and Naruto with him when the Naruto CCG was around, and he came in to the shop to sell some old Magic cards. He also played Magic for a little bit too. And he saw us playing, and he was like, "Oh, this looks interesting." And he kind of like picked it up rather quickly.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, well, you should come Saturday. You know, we're having a big event. Check it out. See if you like it." He's like, "I'm gonna play in it. Just bring a deck for me." So I did bring a deck for him, and he played that deck against all the people who were testing their really, really good decks. And he's like, "I think this is kind of clunky." And I'm like, "No, man, the deck's really good. You're just, you're new. You need to learn some." He's like, "I'm gonna buy a random deck and play with that." And he bought this random deck out of a pack and played with it. After the tournament, he's like, "I think you were right. I should have played the other deck."
That's great. And I do know, you and Lewis have known each other a while. I know Lewis, but I haven't really socialized with him too much. Would you say that's like his personality? Like all those things are very much like Lewis actions?
Yeah, he picks things up very quickly. Like even like when he was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, he tended to favor kind of like making his own spin on like deck text.
Right.
Like,
He'd take the net deck meta and kind of tweak it and spiral into his own creations. Yeah.
And he always did pretty well. He
cool.
He does pick up on certain tendencies very quickly comparatively.
Very cool. Excellent. So I did play against him round 4. Like we already established, the deck he bought probably wasn't as good as the one you gave him.
It wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible.
It's definitely not a bad deck.
It was a 77. It had a Lomir Flame Fist and Dis, which was really weird. And 3 Witch of the Eye and an Append Seed. Unfortunately, no Key Charge or any of that, or Chota.
It did have a Key Abduction, though.
It did have a Key Abduction. The deck overall, it had a lot of creatures. It looks like there was a pretty good creature count. Double Succubus is pretty scary. But I feel like he didn't play the deck in the best way. I think I 100% think it has to do with his knowledge and him being new to the game. I'm sure he understands the mechanics well, but I feel like every turn he was focused more on answering my board than building his own. And I think that is what probably
stuck in that other card game mentality.
Yeah,
where your opponent's board is super important. Whereas sometimes in Keyforge it really is kind of irrelevant. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, which of the eye should always be answered, but like, there's a number of cards where it's like, yeah, that's gonna steal one next turn, but I should probably play the 4 cards in hand, not the one to answer that. That's a different house. So it's a risk reward thing, and I'm sure if Lewis continues playing, he'll probably rise to the top with all of us and start. He would definitely dive in and get really good if he decided to put the time into it. I don't know that he
counting
will,
the 3, because we had a chainbound before the store championship.
Yep.
For people who were there early, he played in that, and counting that, he played 8 games. Just the 5 rounds and the 3 rounds. Like those are every game of Keyforge he's ever played.
Right.
Like so he dove right in.
So shout out to him.
Yeah,
good work from him.
He stayed in because he said, I want to stay in so I learn more. And,
right, regardless of your record and all that.
I know all week he's been texting me like, "Yeah, when you off work?
When we gonna do this?
When we play test."
Nice, very cool. So hopefully we have a new community member, which would be great. So I did beat that one. I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember all the details of it. I know there was another Pit Lord Snudge thing. I think that was the game where I bounced the Pit Lord and then kept it. And just sat on it and kept doing things, but gotcha. I didn't leave the Pit Lord on field because it was my only discard. So, but but that was a fun game. I definitely I learned a lot from this deck. I played the Grandmaster or Warmaster Granbury, and I've only had that deck like 2 weeks, and I feel like I was still learning stuff as I played the tournament, which was kind of scary but also exciting. So here I am, 2-2, last round, sitting at like table 8 or something.
I think this is the round where we did the math and found out that 4 2-2s will make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I won my pair up pretty quickly,
then,
like pretty early in the round against Floyd.
It didn't take too
and
long.
I was trying to tell Floyd, like I was trying to consolidate Floyd because he's like, man, I'm going to miss top 8. He's like, I'm going to be so salty. And I was like, no, dude, I think you make it too. Like, I'm looking at all of these, I was like, I think half the 2-2s are going to make it in.
Nice. Yeah, so with that knowledge, I played it out. I tried to go 3-2. Spoiler alert, I did go 3-2. Didn't matter. I won my last game. Who was I playing? I was playing a local... Someone who goes to the card shop locally, but not somebody that I know personally. I think his name was Aaron or Eric.
It wasn't Aaron. Aaron's the short gentleman. He's my buddy. He's playing one of my old decks, Aaron.
Yeah, I definitely played against that. I'm pretty sure that was him.
Yes, that is it. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, that's fine. So, I said Aaron or Eric. So I played against Aaron, one of your friends. I don't know him personally. I've seen him around the shop at most.
This was my round 3 win.
Okay.
I believe.
Gotcha.
Where I just key charged 3 turns
over and over, right. So against him, this game was... It was probably one of the closest games I had in regards to Amber, but it felt like we were both playing solitaire. Like, it was, he did his thing, and then I did my thing, and then he did his thing. And short of, like, the Nocturnal Maneuver, and what else is in here? I'm looking at the deck list quick.
Double Ritual of Balance.
The Ritual of Balance was problematic, and I actually remember now that I see that card. The reason I won the game was because I used my Nexus to reap, and I just kept reaping and tapping the Ritual of Balance so that he couldn't steal more than 1 from me, and then I got to 9, and he couldn't steal more than 2.
He also has Triple Schuler, a Keyhammer.
And a Lash.
Keyhammer Lash, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A Rise to get back Triple Schuler. Like, it's a pretty...
It's cool.
It's got some cool stuff in it.
There's a lot of synergy within each individual house, which is cool. I don't see a ton of synergy between the houses. But like every time you call a house, if you have 4 cards in hand, you're gonna feel good about your turn. That's definitely applies to this deck. And yeah, that, like I said, that's the reason I won, was really just continuously tapping the Ritual of Balance every time I tried to go over 6 or 7, just so if he does call Untamed, he can only steal 1 and not 2. And then eventually I just got to like 9 or 10, and there was no way for him to get it after that point. But definitely, like I said, I don't think I've ever seen him play Keyforge. You probably have, but
he's been to the last 2 locals.
Okay.
Because that's when he started.
Okay, so he's a new player for sure too. Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure because, like I said, I've seen him around the shop for years, but I've never seen him play Keyforge, so I wasn't sure where he lied in the time.
He used to play HeroClix with us when I was into HeroClix pretty big.
Okay, gotcha.
And he also plays Warhammer.
Okay, I've probably seen him
at
at
Warhammer like forever.
Okay, I've probably seen him during Warhammer events.
So he's more of kind of a miniatures player, but
cool.
Keyforge hit that chord with him.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
So what was your final placing?
13th.
13th. Oof, tiebreakers.
The unlucky number. Yeah, I get 13th like it's nobody's business, dude. Like, for real. I wish I had a document or some kind of like folder with just all of my 13th placings at, like, even at locals. Like, I've gotten 13th at locals and regionals and like all sorts of everything across the board. I've gotten 13th for like no reason. And I know it's my unlucky number and I've just accepted it, but whatever. I played an 89. I got rocked by some 77. And,
I mean,
the
ratings aren't everything.
Yeah, the game of Keyforge.
But we do have another store championship. It hasn't been scheduled yet.
But we know
our other local game store, the one that's a little bit further away.
Yeah, this one's about an
has
hour.
The kit. So we're looking forward to doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just, anything we can get more Keyforge. We have the Prime Championship in about 5 weeks, and
I have a better deck for next store championship too.
By the time the Prime Championships out, the Worlds Collide will be illegal.
I know.
So that's gonna be wild.
We're literally gonna have like a week to decide if we're playing a set 3 deck that we don't know or a set 1 or 2 deck that we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like, we have a week to make that decision, and then if we decide to go with the set 3 deck, we have less time to figure out which set 3 deck.
Yeah, and even on top of that, we have like we should start now learning the set 3 cards.
Mechanics and what they do. And,
Because
there's no way
looking at a deck list, I'm going to be lost.
There's no way Decks at Keyforge is going to have a rating system out by then.
Not a rating system, no. I mean, not an accurate one, because Age of Ascension was like really wonky.
Yeah, it was
for
a
while.
month or two out before.
The
it was,
target
like,
leaks
solid.
actually help that though, because they
I
can
know,
jump
100%.
on it right away.
Yeah.
And also with
I
Crucible,
like that head
maybe
start.
they'll be jumping on putting that on.
I like
quickly.
that head start. Yeah, and if anybody out there who does get a set 3 deck, make sure you check that spoiler website and see if you pulled a card that's missing from that spoiler list. Because even though there's only a dozen left, the sooner we get that confirmed,
Yeah, the better it is for the community.
the better for sure. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on
Also,
those set 3 decks.
I would also just encourage you guys, if you are one of the lucky ones who has it early, just play with them.
Yep, get
Just
a lot
start
of games
playing
in.
with it. Not at events, because you could ruin the software and
Yeah, crash your
Crash the
store owner's
system.
computer.
Yeah, don't do that. But I mean, play some fun games with your friends.
I would
invite
say
them to play the deck.
if you have even one deck, I don't care if it's a 60. If you have a deck that has Ward and Rage and Exalt in it, just play that and learn as much as you can about the mechanic and the interaction, and then go on to other decks.
I will say I played 2 of the Worlds Collide deck, and I played one that I thought was going to be like ultra competitive, and it felt very clunky.
Yeah.
And I played another one that I thought was going to feel clunky.
It felt
and
really solid.
It won like 6 turns. Like,
wow, crazy.
But
Very nice.
that was our store championship. Worlds Collide. I'm very excited for that.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's another thing we should probably touch on from the community, and we're gonna be neutral about it.
I'm gonna let my tone of voice express it, and then I'm gonna be neutral about it. Yeah.
We're gonna try and take the high road on this one.
Yeah.
What happens in Vegas definitely didn't stay there.
Yeah.
There was an incident. Sorry, everyone's talking about it, so we have to too.
Yep.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
There's an incident on stream where a player in the top 8
Vegas Vault Tour.
ended up not shuffling his deck before drawing his
Next
hand of cards.
Yep.
And we're not here to argue whether it was intentional or not. We're not here to argue
We're not on a witch hunt. We're not trying to target him. We're not trying to say anything about him.
We're not here to defame the person.
Yeah.
What the opinions that we want to express is we think that in this community, in this game, when you play at a higher level, you need to be held to a higher standard. So whether it was a mistake or intentional, and even a little bit, unfortunately, on his opponent and the table judge.
Yes.
Like, it's up to those 3 people, you, your opponent, and the judge who is assigned to watch you, if it is just one judge or if there's people walking around, to maintain the state of the game. And in this case, everyone kind of dropped the ball on that. And I mean, really, the biggest thing is make sure you're offering your deck to your opponent to randomize when you're done randomizing it. Make sure your opponent is offering you their deck to randomize so that you can randomize it after them. Kind of do all your actions one at a time and be deliberate with your actions.
I'm guilty of this too, but I will say we as a community, we should be more vocal during a game. We just need to it's no hard feelings. You don't need to feel bad about destroying your opponent, and they shouldn't feel bad about getting destroyed. It's a game. But like, you need to explain every single detail of what you're doing. If you voice it out step by step, one sentence at a time, doing one thing at a time and not trying to rush through your turn, like virtually in a vacuum, this would never happen.
Yeah.
Like, never happen. And we're never going to reach that point, but all of us should be striving to.
Yeah, and I do understand the player in question, who I'm not even going to name because we're not here for that. He did have a response, and he did say that this was the first event where the judge team was asking when you refill your hand to avoid things in the past that have happened, where people have drawn too many on chains or like that. So the new thing that the judge team was asking them to do, especially on stream or in top 8, was to not put the cards directly in their hand.
Put them on the table.
Put them on the table first, or count out, separately which cards were going to be added so that we can make sure that it's the correct hand size.
Yeah.
And it gives your opponent to be like, oh, no, wait, you have a mother. Oh, no, wait, I have a succubus. Oh, wait, you have chains.
Right.
Stuff like that. Gives your brain a minute to cognitively kind of reboot.
Yeah, and in a game like Keyforge where there is no best of 3, it's all one game. I mean, in Vault Tours and stuff, I'm sure it ends up being best of 3 after a certain point, right?
I believe finals for most are best of 3, but
Okay.
in this Vault Tour specifically, it was a best of 3 format. So there were 3 games
For all of it, okay. So, I mean, in some of the Keyforge tournaments, there is no best of 3, and it didn't happen in this case, but like you said, if you're playing a best of 1 format and you do draw an extra card when your opponent has a succubus out, like that's grounds for a game loss, and you don't want to be the guy that get a game loss because you accidentally drew a card because you genuinely made a mistake and didn't know. There's no reason not to follow those requests, put the cards on the table first, confirm with your opponent, these 4 cards are on the table, this 1 card's in my hand, this is what I'm picking up, wait for them to say okay, give a response. If it adds 3 seconds to your game,
chances
that
are
should be
it's not gonna go to
100%.
time.
Yeah, that should be 100% worth never having to feel like you're about to get DQ'd or penalized for an honest mistake.
That being said, too, this alongside, I believe, the same day, one of the Day 2 Grand Championship players in France got a DQ because his sleeves had corner wear.
Yeah, I mean,
And because the judge team could not, like, they changed his sleeves going into top 8, saying, hey, your sleeves, are bent at the corners. It could be the way you're shuffling, but for top 8, here's a new set of sleeves. Play with these. So that's what they did, and in the top 8, they saw that the corners were worn again, and they said, hey, we can't really decide if this is intentional or not, but unfortunately, because this is, an upper level play,
yeah, it's a prestigious
we're going to
top
have
line.
to DQ you from the tournament. And I'm pretty sure he took it as gracefully as someone could, but that one feels a little on the extreme side, but I remember seeing that and thinking, man, it's good that Keyforge
wants to do something about it.
make this like, hey, we're holding you to this standard, not because we're trying to be bullies, but because we want this game to stay, everything's
fair to everybody
clean.
and
everything
yeah.
feels fair. No one wants to feel cheated.
And
any
of you.
And my thing that I'm with that being the same day, I do think that it is only fair that we hold, the Vault Tour to the same standard.
Oh, absolutely.
Even a mistake, intentional, regardless of anything like that, if you and your opponent cannot keep game state clean, it's on both of you.
Right.
Like, to an extent, but definitely, something has to be done. We're still waiting to see what Fantasy Flight says. I know, unfortunately, this gentleman's team has
made
a statement that he's no longer on the team for the reasons of community outcry, mostly, I know that he also returned the prizes willingly. Like, he offered.
Right, yeah, I remember in
in
his apology post, he said that he wanted to give everything back, and he didn't want to have a prize that the community didn't feel like he deserved, whether or not he made the mistake intentionally or not. He felt obligated to do as much as he could to do the right thing, if you will, and I do respect that, and I do think that it sounds really rough, but that's an appropriate response for something like that. If I was in his shoes, I would feel compelled to do the same thing. I would like to believe.
Yes.
But as unfortunate as it is, there is a ton of discussion about it. You guys can find more info on YouTube and other podcasts, I'm sure. There is an interview with this individual that exists somewhere out there already.
It's on Fifth Planet, Keyforge, which is Jupiter's podcast. And
so,
I know that on that interview, Jake from Sanctimonious asked a bunch of questions directly that were asked. So it's really good to see the whole community kind of jump in on this.
Right, and
especially Archon's Corner is a lot of the members of that content creation unit are also on his team. And I mean, I kind of feel for them because I met Big Z in Atlanta. He's a really good dude. I never met Joe. I guess I said his name. I've never met Joe personally, but I like to think, I'd like to at least hope this wasn't malicious or intentional. But again, it is.
We want to hope it's not malicious, but need to consider the fact that it could have been and penalize accordingly.
Yeah, and I don't think this should be a personal attack.
Right.
I don't think that people should continue to dole out the kind of things we have seen. I think it's enough to address it, make sure he addresses it, like whether it was intentional or not, as long as he accepts the punishment that's been given to him, which The community has now punished him. His team has punished him.
We're waiting for
Fantasy Flight. I'll come out and say it, not to sound biased. I hope he does get suspended from events for an indiscriminate amount of time. Not too long.
6 months.
6 months would feel okay. Even 3 months.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with.
Just enough to kind of drill the point home that you can't get away with that.
Intentional or not, maintain your game state, especially if you're going to call yourself a professional. Unfortunately,
right, and we aren't calling ourselves professionals. And
maybe one day.
You're pretty damn close, but I don't think you've called yourself a professional.
No, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't, and
yeah,
I'd hate for me to be in a situation like this because. I know it's probably no matter what he says, people who think he's guilty are going to think he's guilty.
Yeah,
and
those people who have already made up their minds, and they're not. Nothing can be done that's going to change their mind. All we can do is move forward with it. And if he gets a 3-month suspension, that just goes to show you that Fantasy Flight is watching. They are willing to punish people who are making questionable decisions, even if they're not in their proper state of mind or making a mistake. And that 3-month ban, as unfortunate as it is for that individual, that should make all of you remember to shuffle your opponent's deck or your own.
Yeah,
and that in itself should solve the problem.
The biggest thing is
that's it.
Biggest thing is no one has to be worried about cheaters at big events,
mm-hmm.
whether or not this was an instance of that. All you really have to worry about is how you're playing, and if you're making sure that your game state between you and your opponent is staying accurate, there's not a lot they can do.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly.
Sleight of hand's a thing. I know people have been caught cheating in other card games. I'm sure you can find all sorts of stuff on
Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon.
We know all the big names of all the big cheaters in there. Their reputation gets thrown around in these communities, and I don't want to see anyone's name get thrown around for being a cheater until we have hard proof. I don't think this is hard proof, but I think it is.
It is unsightly.
Yes, it is absolutely disgusting looking. It's abhorrent, and there just needs to be some kind of penalty for it. And as long as that happens, I'm just going to ignore it and move on. And my opinion about this person as an individual isn't any different than it was beforehand.
Also, anyone who is...
For me.
Who is... That was one of the things that I didn't like, how some people were so black and white, like, oh, I know this was cheating, or I know this wasn't. Even though, however I feel, I will say, even at store championship level, like when I was playing in top 8, you feel nerves.
Mm-hmm.
At Vault Tour, on my day 2 at Vault Tour, when I lost the first round on day 2, like you feel
you look
the
like
pressure.
You're walking around with the vibrator in your stomach.
Yeah, you definitely feel the pressure. So anyone who hasn't been in that situation, I do implore you to maybe try to get in a situation similar, put yourself in those shoes. It is, especially for people who aren't comfortable on camera, whether he is or isn't, it can be a high stress situation.
Absolutely.
So I can see how a mistake might have gotten made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not justifying the actions. I'm just saying it's not always black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, even with all that said, there has to be repercussions.
Yep, absolutely. If I made that mistake, if I have to be penalized for that. Like that's not to compare it, and I hate to do this to like that level, but like people who accidentally commit crime still get punished for crime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's still, I didn't know I was going 25 over. I was on the way to a hospital. Like, the cop can still give you a ticket if he wants to. And if he does, you still have to pay it. Like, that's just the fact.
Absolutely.
So it should apply in every community to some extent.
And even if you're going to call yourself a professional player, whether he is or isn't, if you're a professional, like if you're doing your job and you make a mistake
that you make.
Like, if you install Windows and you don't measure correctly...
Someone's window falls in
someone's
on them.
paying for that window.
Right.
You know?
Right. Or the more extreme scenarios, you make a bad trade on the stock market or something, and suddenly, a company loses millions of dollars. Like nothing that extreme is going to happen, but those are all things that happen in the real world, and those people who make those mistakes are punished. And in a hobby game, regardless of if it's a game, people take it seriously and get competitive. If you make a mistake, you should be punished. And that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, so that's really what we're saying. Everyone just be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of what your opponent's doing. And let's try to keep this community great. Because this community is, for as young as it is and as big as it's getting, it is...
I love it. I love it more and
more. It's one
more
of the better ones, for sure.
I really do.
If not
I really do love it more every week. Like, it's grown on me so much. And I'm so happy to be a part of it and get involved with a game as unique as this. But I think that wraps it up. This was a super long episode, and we apologize. Hopefully we made up for being a few days late. We'll probably try to have more episodes soon. I know YouTube uploads are coming. There's going to be some more...
Yeah, we're going to have a couple more Worlds Collide starters unboxing.
Yeah, there was a couple more purchases of that.
We luckily have some good local fans who are not quite in our town, but found some and shot me a message and said I could get them for the YouTubes.
Sounds like a plan. So, we will see you guys hopefully within the next week or so. Probably Saturday if nothing
Saturday.
goes crazy.
That's safe.
Yeah, our store championship was the reason we didn't get to record. So, there's not another store championship this week. Expect us Saturday.
All right, guys. Be good to each other and have a good time playing some Keyforge.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and stuff. Bye.
Bye.